Good morning, everybody. Welcome to USC's Open Day. Thanks very much for coming to this particular panel, which is titled, I Want to Study, but I'm Not Sure I Can. Part of the rationale for having a conversation like this one is that quite often at USC we come across people who know exactly what they want to do, they know exactly what they're dreaming of, but they're just a little bit worried that they haven't got what it takes, that they can't cut it, that there are obstacles that are going to get in front of whatever it is that they want to do. And so this is a conversation this morning between people who have done this before already, who've been where you're sitting and know exactly what to do and what sort of advice to give you. So we're going to run for about 45 minutes this morning. If we've got time at the end, we'll certainly take questions. If in fact you do have a question, and I'll let you know if we're going to go to questions, we do have some radio microphones in the audience. And because we're recording this panel discussion today, it would be really great if you have a question, if you could just wait until the radio mic gets to you so that we can hear your question for the audio recording as well. All right, let's make a start. My name is Karen Brinkley. I work for the University of the Sunshine Coast, USC. And with me today, I have some very, very talented and experienced people. Immediately on my left is Amy Chilman. She's a USC student ambassador now studying paramedic science. But USC is not her first university experience. Straight after school, she travelled America and Europe before settling into an ecotourism degree and a career in tourism and outdoor education. But paramedicine was calling, and it took a big leap of faith for her to follow her heart and change her career. Next to Amy is Nathan Lestrange. He's a USC graduate who knows what it's like to doubt himself and his future. After finishing high school, Nathan enrolled in a business program at a Brisbane university, but struggled to find the right balance between study and life. He tried changing degrees, but decided university wasn't for him, until he went to a college friend's graduation ceremony, and that changed his mind. Next to Nathan, we have Lizzie England. Lizzie is a USC graduate who's living proof that it's never too late to achieve your dream of getting a university degree. Lizzie left university 26 years ago to have her first child, Sam, who has now also completed his USC degree. Both Lizzie and Sam drove from Brisbane to study at USC, and Lizzie is now working as an occupational therapist for Queensland Health, and she's an inspiring role model for her whole family. And on the end, we have Dr. Ali Jacquet. Ali is responsible for USC's suite of support for learning programs in student services and engagement. That's a face you really want to take a good look at so that you can find her when you need her. These programs focus on helping students succeed, particularly in their first year, and establishing the foundations for their success as students and graduates. So some very experienced and talented people here to share their story with you this morning. And I'm going to start with Amy, just because she's the first one on my left. And Amy, can you tell us, how did you come to be at USC? Tell us your story.
So like you mentioned, I started off, I was working outdoors in tourism, and I just found that I wasn't mentally challenged. I felt that something was missing. I loved my job and I loved the people I was around, but there was just that one thing missing, and I just really wasn't mentally challenged. And so I started tossing up, okay, what do I want to do? And I found it really hard finding a direction. And so I actually went on to one of those government websites where you go, what do I want to do when I grow up? And did one of those online surveys, and I really found one of the main things was that I was looking for something that was meaningful and something where I was helping people. And so that's where I started to go, okay, well, what kind of area can I find with that? And I was doing my refresher for my wilderness first day, and I was like, I really love this. And I could see myself doing that, and then it was the, nerve-wracking jump to then go from that to going, okay, well, let's commit to my second university degree. And so I came in and I emailed someone on the student team, and I was like, look, this is what I'm thinking, this is where I'm at. I've been out of uni for a fair few years now, and they were like, yep, come in and have a chat. So I came in and I spoke to someone here on campus, and they worked out with me the best way for me to enter into paramedics, and also the best way to then approach, studying at uni. So it was quite a supported process that went from, oh, that's just an idea, to going, oh, you know what, like this is actually happening. This is something that I can do. And it was just sending off that email that really got the ball rolling. So,
Amy, I can remember you saying to me once that you were worried about choosing paramedicine because you weren't sure that you could cut it. What was that about?
Yeah, well, I guess having not really being the highest achiever at high school and kind of cruise through my first uni degree, the idea of paramedics is such a the scope of what you do now as paramedicine is so broad and so advanced that I really didn't think that I'd be able to cut it. But I guess that's where the uni understands that, and so they've structured it in the way that your first year subjects are about building you up, are about supporting you, making sure that you have that ground knowledge and that base understanding to really be able to succeed as you develop and you progress on those ideas.
Okay, thank you. Lizzie, I'm going to jump to you. What brought you to USC? How did you come to be here?
Oh, mine's a bit of a long story from 26 years ago when I left uni to have my first son. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mum, so I did that for around 20 years, and I found myself moved to Brisbane from a small country town in New South Wales, and my husband couldn't find work. I'd always worked, after not finishing my nursing degree, I'd always worked as a disability support worker or an assistant in nursing. So I came to be doing that, and really with my husband unemployed, my youngest was 10 at that stage, I thought, well, I need to actually do something that's going to make us more money. And I had always wanted to be an occupational therapist. I did nursing because way back 26 years ago, nursing was HECS-free in New South Wales, so that made that choice up. But when I really looked at what I wanted to do, I wanted to be an occupational therapist. I thought I was too old. I thought my time really had passed. But I had a friend who was 60, and she did her psychology degree when she was in her 40s, and she just really encouraged me. She said, you know, no way you can do this. And so I applied for uni, and I actually got into UQ. Being new to Brisbane, I didn't know much about universities, and coming from country New South Wales, I really didn't want to sit in traffic. That was my decision. I didn't want to sit in traffic and head into Brisbane. So USC came up on the radar, and I thought, oh, I'll have a look here. And it actually took me less time to get from northern suburbs of Brisbane. I lived at Sandgate. Took me less time to get here than it would have to get into UQ. And I'm so glad I did, because it does have... I think I have friends that have gone to UQ, and their description and just the differences between USC is that it's a big country university, and I'm glad I came here.
And Lizzie, tell me about Sam. Sam and you studied together, not in the same program, but studied together. How did that go?
That was great. He moved from Canberra, so I was down that way as well, and he was enrolled in Canberra Uni, and I was telling him how great our uni up here was, so he wanted to come and never live with me, lived apart, but wanted to be closer to family, so he moved up here. It was good. He was enrolled, he changed a few times his degree, but he's actually just finished his Bachelor of Business, and he's the first person at USC to graduate with supply chain management major. So he's very proud of that. He was actually in one of my psychology tutes and very quickly transferred out of it when he realised he was in the same one as his mum. But he was great. We carpooled sometimes. He is 26, so he's at an age where he wasn't too embarrassed by his mum, and he would come and have a coffee with me and my other friends while we were at uni. So, yeah, a very proud moment. We graduated a day apart from each other.
Fantastic. And Nathan, tell us your story. How did you come to be here?
So as you mentioned, USC was my second time studying tertiary education. When I graduated school down in Brisbane, I went and studied a business degree. I guess my father was a businessman, and I'd studied business subjects all through school. I thought this is what I'm supposed to do. I went to UQ, and I guess as an 18-year-old. So many changes in life, so a lot of stuff got in the way of my studies. I wasn't really seeking the help that I needed with my study as well. After a year, I realised I was either not doing well in a lot of subjects or I was failing them. So I decided at that point that, it wasn't really for me. I travelled overseas, came back and tried it again. Still, wasn't really ready for it. Did the business degree again. And then, after that second year and still struggling so much with university, I started telling myself, maybe it's not cut out for this. My confidence level was just so low. I was telling myself, you're essentially too stupid for tertiary education. So it took me overseas again. It took me working on cruise ships. One of my mates said to me, become a personal trainer, get a job on cruise ships. And I thought, awesome, let's do that. And I just lucked into this passion for health through that. So I was out working on cruise ships. I was running seminars about, nutrition and lifestyle and teaching classes. And I just became obsessed with the human body. So by the time I finished that, after 2 years working on the ships, I think the last thing I did, as Karen mentioned, was I went to my friend's graduation ceremony over in Maine in the US, and I just remember the speaker talking to these students and just telling them, we've set the foundations here. We haven't told you what to think. We've showed you how to think, and now it's your job using that to go forth into the world and essentially change the world. And I just found that the most inspiring thing. And I thought, I know what I want to do. I know what my passion is. Let's go back and give it another go. And by the time I came back here, I think I was 24, 25. I was ready to seek the help I needed. I was speaking to, student support services. I was going and chatting to academic advisors every second week, thinking, what should I be doing? What path should I be laying out? And 3.5 years I spent at USC were just incredible. Completely changed the way I think, improved my critical thinking skills. Some of the best years of my life, equal to the years I spent overseas. So, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Ali, how often do you hear somebody like Nathan say, I'm too stupid for uni?
Unfortunately, it's all too often that we hear this. And really, it's the goal of me and my team to support every single student who comes to USC. Because really, it's actually a sad thing. It's actually, I almost started crying when you just said that. Because university, we know, is not about, arbitrary numbers, that sort of thing. It's about hard work. And if you're willing to put the effort in, we're here to meet you, and we have a genuine commitment to support every single student who comes to USC. And as Amy said, in the first year, there's a lot of support provided for students both within their courses and from my team in student support. It's really the reason I came to work at USC, is because there are a lot of people here who really do want to make sure that your goals in changing your lives, in coming to USC, coming to university for all the different reasons that you have, that we help you recognise those and achieve what you want to achieve. So we hear a lot of people who are concerned, uncertain, a little bit anxious. And can I just say, that's a very normal feeling to have. We all feel like that when we do something new. But we're here to support you, and we know you can do it. So if you want a group of cheerleaders who stand with you and walk alongside you in this journey, that's the staff who work here are genuinely in that role.
Ali, thanks. Lizzie, back to you. What was the first hurdle that you encountered? So you've actually taken the big leap, you've decided you're coming. What was the first thing that you remember now that was the hardest thing that you were starting to doubt whether or not it was the right move?
The hardest thing would have been walking into my very first lecture, honestly, wondering whether they would be what I considered older people, like myself. I don't mind saying I was 42 when I enrolled at uni, 46 when I finished. So that was scary, thinking, am I going to relate to the other students? The lecturer's going to be younger than me. Will they take me seriously? Will I have any friends? Will people laugh at me? Those sorts of things. As a mature age student, I found challenging, but after the first day I sat in the front row, which I don't think I ever did again, but I sat in the front row and next to a lovely lady who's actually 1 week younger than me, and we became friends, and then I made many more friends during my 4 years at USC. So that was the first. There were many others. Another one would have been whether I could actually do the work, like you were saying, and I found that the lecturers were nothing but supportive. I found that they were on my side, that they wanted to do what they could to make sure I succeeded, and that included managing my family as well. I still had children at home to look after, and my husband worked fly-in, fly-out roles, so that was also difficult. But when I talked to lecturers and tutors, they were understanding. They would give me extensions if I needed extensions due to time. I found that as long as I spoke up, that people were there at every turn to help me succeed. If anyone's thinking of doing a health science where you might need, like paramedics and OT, nursing, that you need to do clinical placements on, that was probably the next biggest thing I was scared about. How do I do a clinical placement with a family? How do I work in a hospital and do full-time hours and that sort of thing?
And how did that work? How did you manage that?
So the biggest placements are in year 3 and year 4 of the degree, which is good, because that was something that in year 1 I was like, I actually don't know how I'm going to do that, but let's just try and see how it goes. We have clinical lecturers here that organise our placements. So I had placements that were close by in Brisbane, which were great. So that's one of the ways they supported me to do that. You can modify your hours in your clinical placements. So, for example, my 3-week clinical placement in 3rd year became a 6-week clinical placement, and I just did shorter hours. So that worked around my family. Yeah.
Nathan, what's the most memorable thing that USC's brought you?
I guess the friends here I made. You know, one of the mistakes I made when I first went to UQ in Brisbane was that I would go to class, sit up the back by myself a lot of the time, maybe fall asleep, and then just finish class and go home. You know, but uni is about so much more than that, because you've got what's how many students at USC now? 14,000?
17.
Huge number of students, you know. So whatever you're interested in, you're going to find other people that are interested in it as well. And I love being outdoors. I love hiking. So I joined a group called USC Activate, outdoor recreation group. They get out most weekends and do some stuff. And you know, these people have become lifelong friends to me now. So yeah, being involved in more than just the study, you know, because that's what is going to make the years at uni just so memorable.
Okay, thank you. Amy, how about you? What did you think was probably the hardest thing that you've struck, and then how did you get around it?
I guess the initial, very first hardest thing was quitting my job. I'd gotten into uni and I was like, all right, cool, like this is happening, and I was like, okay, now I've got to leave this comfort zone of full-time work, Monday to Friday kind of hours, and go from that income to coming to uni. And that was quite a kind of talk to yourself, all right, can I do this, can I get through this? And it was one of those, I guess, discussions of, okay, support, how do you go to uni and support yourself living out of home and all that. And for me it was very much like, okay, well, cool, like finding another job, just finding a casual job. So I'm working at a cafe at the moment, doing 2 days a week, and finding that support of, okay, yep, that's achievable. I'm on Centrelink, so that's that government support of helping you study, and yeah, you get stuff like a textbook allowance through Centrelink and all that, and it broke it down of, okay, I need to live a lot more simply than what I was living, but for the achievement of working towards paramedics, I thought it was very much worth it. And the first year, I have to say, was very hard of living within my means of that much smaller budget, but it's definitely been worth it and coming through it.
Ali, it's an investment, essentially, isn't it? An investment of time, an investment of finances. What kinds of support services are available for people that are actually needing to look at how they juggle those financial obligations?
Well, we have a lot of free services here at USC to help students. Plus, we also have services to help you to look at, how you're managing your money and things like tenancy and welfare support. We have a wellbeing centre that is full of counsellors and disability advisors and health promotion experts. In my team, we, as Nathan already mentioned, we have academic advisors. So they're the people that'll help you, if you come across an assignment that you've never done before, if you want to work on your writing skills, or you're going to be doing a presentation, we can work with you and help you with that. One of the biggest areas where we can help students who need to think about working while they study, and that's a lot of us now, my career development team works to help all students with things that range from trying to find a job casual or part-time while you work, but they also organise things that can really help you as part of that investment in your future, which is looking at work experience opportunities. So how you can get some more experience in the field that you're actually aiming to develop a career in, because some of us are at uni because we're changing our careers. Some of us have some great ideas about careers that we want to develop, but we haven't necessarily had the experience there yet. So, and all of these services are free to every USC student. And I'm sure there are many more that I haven't mentioned, but...
Scholarships and bursaries?
Yeah, that's right. So scholarships and bursaries are there for students who meet certain criteria. We've got a website that has all of the information about that, but it could be for things like, wanting to purchase a laptop for when you start your first semester. And it could be just for your day-to-day expenses, so that, if you have to give up a full-time job or you have to work a little less, that you can get that financial support just to help you when you tighten your budget and when you have to study instead of work.
And there's just one single scholarship form, so you fill in one form and the university works out which scholarships or bursaries you're entitled to apply for. Okay. I'm just going to see how we're going in terms of you guys. Has anybody got questions already? Because I've got a stack more to go on with, but I'll give you the chance.
Can I just say, asking questions is actually one of the first things that we talk to students about when you start at USC, because that's how we learn, that's how we fill the knowledge gaps. And we know that the students who succeed are the students that ask questions, from when they don't understand something to when they need something clarified or when they need help. So help-seeking questions are a really good thing.
Hi, over to you. Could you just pop the mic right up close, please? Is that better? Yeah. Oh, beautiful, thanks.
I'm just after some information about the TPP, the tertiary preparation pathway.
Yes. We can give you some really overview information now, but I'd also really encourage you, there are 3 sessions today at 11, 12 and 1 for TPP. So you can actually go and hear from Kerry Rutter. She's our TPP coordinator and she can take you through all of that. But what TPP basically does is it's our tertiary preparation pathway, and if you haven't been studying for a little while and you're not quite sure about the bridge between not studying and studying, if you're at high school and you're not sure that you're going to get the OP that you need, this is a free program that's available to you. It's 6 months of your life, which gives you an easier entry into the university, because it actually gets you ready for uni. Ali, did you want to say any more about TPP?
Yeah, I think the phrase "gets you ready" is a really good one. my academic skills advisors work really closely with the wonderful teachers who teach in that program, and we are really in that program looking to help people who want to transition into the university experience. So for whatever reason are not going to go straight into their first year, TPP provides a really good preparation where you can build those skills that you'll need to succeed at uni. So thinking through how you're writing, how you're actually studying and building those skills. And it just gives you a really good introduction to all of those things that will help prepare you for your first year.
Any other questions before we keep going? Okay. Thanks for asking the first question. Amy, has there been a time in the last few years when you've been with USC where you've gone, oh, thank God, that was absolutely the right decision?
I think when I went on placement, I think that was the big, light bulb moment almost, where it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want to be doing. So at the end of first year with paramedics, and I think with a fair few of the practical degrees, is you go on placement and it's just that taste of the workforce that you're entering in, rather than, I guess, getting to the end of the degree and going, oh, is this actually what I want to be doing? And so for me, it was when I was sitting in the back of the ambulance on our first code one, so that's the lights and sirens call out, and your heart's going like this, and I was just like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. And I was sitting there with my two mentors, and it was just they were exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up, exactly like that. And it was one of those moments that I think, because I did struggle a bit throughout first year trying to get into the flow of going to uni and doing your assignments and time management and all that, and it was just a really nice moment to go, this is exactly what I want to be doing. It was really comforting to know that I was on the right pathway, because I guess there was so many variables in my head of, am I doing, should I be doing nursing? Should I be going into maybe something like OT or something? And so it was quite a nice moment to go, this is on track. This is what I want to be doing.
One of the reassuring messages that I hear from student ambassadors that work with USC all the time is this idea that no learning is wasted. You can change your mind. You can decide that the career that you thought you wanted to do is not actually what you wanted to do at all, and you haven't wasted any time, you haven't lost anything. Ali, do you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that the word journey gets overused, usually on weight loss programs on TV, but university really is part of your journey. So one of the things that you'll become from going to uni is a lifelong learner. So your curiosity, your motivation to, find new knowledge, to develop yourself, to find a satisfying career pathway. Sometimes that journey is not a straight line, and I say sometimes, but it's probably most of the time. It's not a linear journey where you very clearly put together all of the steps to have a clear path to one career. When you're at uni, it's an opportunity to explore some of the things that you're interested in, and that's both in terms of your programs, but also, as Nathan was saying before, a range of different extracurricular opportunities that open up to you when you're at uni. It's really a learning community that we have here. So it's a really wonderful opportunity for you to grow and learn and connect with new people and new ideas. So, even if you're not certain exactly where you should be, everyone in this room is already doing the first step, which is to inform yourself, find out more about what university involves and how you might fit here with your unique experiences, hopes, dreams, strengths, challenges. It's an opportunity today, I think, to really start to picture yourself, as a student and where you could go into the future.
Lizzie, light bulb moment when you worked out that you'd made the right choice, that it was worth all the struggle.
A couple of moments, probably when I got my first assignment back, and I'm pretty sure I got a credit. And that
Congratulations.
That was a scary moment in putting, your first assignment in and thinking, can I do this? Am I smart enough? Is that what they wanted? Is it going to come back with a fail? I can't fail. I've done, big step to do this. To get a credit was great. And so that was a light bulb moment that just gave me encouragement. And I had many more of those over my 4 years as I became better at learning, better at writing, better at so many things, better at group work. Group work's a big one. And the other one would have been on placement as well. So just working with people, alongside people, which is what I had always wanted to do. Just realising that I will come out with skills that will change people's lives on a daily basis, which was really my goal in life and my professional goal. And now I'm working at Queensland Health and I'm doing that, and it's beyond fulfilling. I still pinch myself every day.
Nice. Nathan, talk to us about group work.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm quite an autonomous learner, so I was never really good with the group work. It is really fascinating though to come together with a bunch of different people, and you're obviously all different personality types, and just to understand and I guess it teaches you a lot about just managing relationships more than anything, And I guess while I studied a business degree before, so I still love business. And if I'm ever going to lead a company, it's important to kind of, I guess, learn how to maintain good relationships with people who you may not necessarily agree with, and when it's important to take charge. I'd say there were various instances throughout my degree where I probably didn't speak up enough. With our group work, and that kind of led us to, probably not the best result at the end, but it's just one of those things you learn.
It is one of those things that you learn. It's a pretty important part of learning at USC, and I think people can come to it in a whole range of different ways. You can feel a little bit intimidated by it, particularly if it's the first time that you've met a group of people. You can feel frustrated by it. For some people, it's absolutely what they want to do, but it's a really important skill set to learn. Ali, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the number one skill that employers are looking for from graduates is teamwork skills. So the number two skill, so this is from the graduate surveys that are done every year. So teamwork came number one on the list of a wide range of employers. Number two, communication skills. So what group work is designed to help you with is to develop those skills, and every one of us sitting here who works in a team, and usually in the workplace we are in teams, even if we get to lead teams, we have to figure out who we are. So I think that group work question, even though we all struggle with it, and I struggled with it in my degrees as well, you learn, are you a leader? Are you a collaborator? What skills do you need to work on? And I think everyone in this room already has some really good communication skills that you're using every day to try and understand the people around you. And I think when you come to USC and you have to do group work, you start to realise what that looks like and where else you can develop. And that's exactly what my team helps with as well. So if anyone ever struggles with group work, we've got a set of resources and some activities that really help you work through those things.
Thank you. Amy, what advice would you give the people in the room who might be worried about whether or not it's worth taking the step, who might be worried about whether or not they can do it, who might be worried about making a mistake, making the wrong decision?
I think maybe have a conversation. Be with your partner, your child, your mum, your dad, whoever. Start the conversation, start talking, and it's almost like a mind map and a thought process that starts to branch off, and it gets you thinking, okay, how do I do this? How do I make this possible? So just talk with someone. I know I called up my sister and I was like, look, I'm thinking of going back to uni, and she's like, oh, you're crazy. And I was like, well, yeah, but I think it's doable, and I think it's the right choice because this is my passion. And she's like, all right, cool, like where will you study? What will you do? All that. And just having that conversation with someone starts asking those questions that you don't really think of maybe, or you haven't asked yet. I think that's definitely a good place to start. Like the fact that you're all here is amazing. Like it's such a big step to even, like there are a lot of people who are even nervous to step on campus. So it's really nice to see you all here today and come and I guess be part of this discussion and starting the conversation with people. So yeah.
Nathan, advice?
I guess one of the things I've always kind of lived by is that whole idea of live your life as an experiment. And, you know, you start up uni and you've got an idea of where those 3 or 4 years is going to take you and the job it's going to take you in, but there's a very, very real possibility that's not going to be the way it'll turn out, you know. But everything that comes from it, like our experience and I guess that whole idea of university making you a lifelong learner and just the way it teaches you how to think is incredible, regardless of what direction it takes afterwards. You know, I really think it is just, the most incredible experience. I'd say, you know, the other advice is just forming connections, you know, as much as possible during the time at university, because I think most of us would realise now that when it comes to finding a line of work, it's not often it's what you know, it's who you know. So you're surrounded by a bunch of other really intelligent, really connected people while you're here at university. So as much as possible, get out into the community and form those connections.
Lizzie, advice?
Just adding, because I definitely agree with these two, is for me, and I have a medical history of anxiety, so I can get very anxious about things, is I actually didn't look at the big picture because the big picture was sometimes overwhelming, a lot of the time overwhelming. If you asked me in first year, right at the beginning, how I was going to do placement in fourth year, I wouldn't have known. I didn't know. So I just looked at what was in front of me, what assignment, what work I had to do next. I would plan, so lots of structure, especially managing a family, you know, being a mum, as lots of mums would know, having to still give time to my family who needed me and also give time to me because uni, very much so, I did see after the first semester that this was something that was good for me. It was good for my confidence. It was good for me to become qualified in something that really I was doing a lot in my life anyway. And it was good to really learn, to learn new things and to the reward of just overcoming the difficulty, I suppose, because it certainly wasn't always easy, you know, trying to understand concepts and things like that, but just the overwhelming feeling of getting to the top. I did look at it like a mountain, my 4-year mountain, and just climbing it ever so gradually and looking at the next thing that was needed of me, doing that and then going on to the next thing. And if you do that, it's a bit like eating the elephant, one mouthful at a time. I got there, and you can too. It's definitely doable.
No, that's great. Thank you. Your comment about just getting started, your first year, is really important, and it's something that USC takes really seriously. We have a whole program of support around making sure that people's first year sets them up for success all the way through uni, and so to just focus on what you have to get done to get into your first year and then to get through your first year can be really helpful if you are struggling with the feeling of being a little bit overwhelmed.
Can I just add to that? Sorry. I'll just add asking for help. I mean, we've talked a lot about, you know, asking questions. No question is a silly question. And if any point in time, if you start uni and you feel like it's too hard or too much, There are so many places here that will help. I access disability services because of my anxiety. Exams were incredibly overwhelming for me, sitting in a room of hundreds of people. I did it once, didn't do so well, and then went to disability services and just said, look, hey, this is really hard. Are there any other options? So there were options for me to sit in a smaller room with about 10 people. So, yeah, the uni is really here to help you succeed, and I found that very much.
Your last chance for questions. Please don't walk out if you have a question and you've not had a chance to ask it. Thanks very much.
Speaking about that, getting through your first year and support and so forth, when I think about, okay, should I do it or not, my head goes straight to, oh my God, what about if I keep failing? What about if it says 1,000 words and I can only get 500 words? And how can you quit? Can you what happens?
Ali, you won't have ever heard any of that before. Can you answer?
Yeah, so your specific questions about, it says 1,000 words and you can only get 500. I'm pretty sure everybody who's ever written any uni assignment gets to that point. I can see a lot of people nodding around me. We have lots of people who can help with that, and that's a very common thing. When you're writing anything, to think I can never make the 1,000 words. But if you think about 1,000 words of writing, and you think about, okay, that's just a microcosm. That's just a small example of the same thing, which is I'm never going to get this assignment done. I'm never going to get through all of these lectures. I'm never going to get to the end of the course or the end of the program, or, that sort of thing. The feelings that you have where you can't do something and that you've got those kinds of doubts, there are people every step of the way to get you across the line. So, things that Lizzie's talked about, like asking for extensions, things that Nathan's talked about, getting academic advisors to help you along the way. We have a lot of things in place that mean that, you may not, you ask the question, can you quit, or, that sort of thing. We have a lot of support here so that you don't have to think about that until it comes to it. But, there are big things that happen to people while they're at uni. Life circumstances change, and as we know with life, it is a very messy undertaking that we're all going through. And uni, when you put that on top of that, we've got ways that, if something happens, that we're there to support you, to look at your options. And there are things like special consideration. Should you need some, either from extra time on an assignment, all the way to thinking about how you might restart again next semester. So there's important dates that you'll need to know about, probably not now, but 4 weeks into semester we have census dates, where that's when you absolutely, after doing a few weeks of uni and trying out what you're doing, you say, okay, yeah, I want to continue with my enrolment. But up until then, you've got 4 weeks to decide, is this for me? And you can, there's other dates where you can make changes to the number of courses that you have. You can, when you have a conversation with someone at the uni, as soon as you've got these questions, you can come to Student Central and say, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through this whole load of courses this semester, or I'm not sure if I can finish this assignment. We've got things that we can do to help you either, change your enrolment or ask those questions about getting extensions and that sort of thing. Does that come anywhere near to answering your question? Okay, good.
Can I just add something about my own experience? I realise that, what most people do is 4 subjects per semester. Some people will do, 5 or more. When I came to the realisation that I was really, really stressed out with 4 subjects, when I realised that I couldn't make the most of everything else at the university as well, I thought, well, I'm just going to add 6 months to my degree and I'm going to drop it back to 3. And that was the best decision I ever made because it massively reduced my stress levels and it did exactly that. It allowed me to get out and experience the wider community here at USC. So just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean you have to. You find what works for you and you speak to the advisors for that. So.
Nathan, thanks. I think probably the key message out of this morning, if you take away nothing else, is there are always options. There are always options, and you've got people around you that are going to be able to help you through and help you decide and make the most of those options. So just ask, just ask. We're out of time this morning. Thank you very much for attending this first session. We've got more panel sessions happening now from 11 o'clock, but also information sessions for TPP and for all of the other programs, and then some lectures later on this afternoon as well. Enjoy your day. Thanks very much.
What did first year teach me?
That your first year at uni is really important.
Uni is more than programs, lectures and textbooks.
My brain's bigger than I thought.
And you can fit all that uni stuff in there.
USC, rise and shine.